Welcome, everybody, to episode 12 of the effing title. We're back after the mock draft last week. Draft weekend just happened, so obviously we're going to be talking about women's basketball. That was 6 days ago. It was a joke. Sorry, bad joke. We will be talking about the NFL draft today. With me, we have Jeff.
That's
Hi,
not
Jeff.
true.
Sturg.
I'm
Hello.
not here.
How are you guys doing today?
So, like I was telling you, I'm
doing
doing
good.
great. But like how I told you, I was going to start out this wonderful thing. Great. I just feel like we've been on it so much that this is like mine and Rob's podcast now. So we're just taking over. Just saying. Okay, that's all I got for you, though.
I mean, fair enough.
I think it should be the effing title, Big Husky / Jeff and Sturge podcast. Like, we should be in the title now, and it should just be R3's podcast.
I mean, that's.
I'm just
I mean, that's fine. But I mean, at the same point, though, you won't be on it next week.
Sure,
Or
that's what
will
they all
we?
say. That's what they all say.
Or will we?
Until we get a text and we're like, yeah, let's do this again.
Yeah, well, unless I get someone backing out, then I should be. We should have. It will go back to random bullshit and not sport related for the first time in like a month.
Ooh.
Anyway, so today it's 3 topics, but we're just gonna go over all of them all at once. NFL draft review, best or worst picks, sleeper reaches. Thank you, Sturge, for the resub with Twitch Prime. I appreciate it. I love the giggle as well after you just did that.
I like it. I'm just going to start out with the worst draft pick here. And I know we're going to do this at the end.
That's fine.
But the worst draft pick, obviously Joe Burrow's going number 1. Cannot be. Worst pick of the draft. Okay, now we can go into some seriousness. Okay, let's go.
So this is one of the things I was going to ask is, what did you guys think of Virtual Draft 2020?
Personally, I didn't mind it. I thought it was kind of cool to, get the inside view of everything. I just love all the memes going around about how
Roger Goodell.
Cliff Kingsbury.
that one.
How
Yeah.
you envision everyone. All these NFL coaches, but then you get like him and Bill Belichick next to each other, and Bill Belichick's got like this 70s house that's still really outdated and just
Yeah.
With his dog making the picks and everything.
exactly. So it's
What you're
just,
forgetting is that's his Nantucket house.
That's
That's
Or-
one of his 6 houses.
Yeah, or like they're showing like freaking like David Gettleman in his like attic versus Jerry Jones on his $250 million yacht.
Oh yeah, yep.
Like,
Yep. I
Wait,
thought
can
it was
we-
cool. Give you a little insight to everyone, though.
The only thing I didn't. So there are 2 things I didn't like. Otherwise, I thought it was better than the normal draft.
well, I was about to. That was my second thing I was about to ask.
I hated the fact that like they were trying to put like fans in the background of Roger Goodell. Like, hey,
Did you see the Chargers one that didn't have any fans?
Yeah, when it had
Well,
3 people on it.
Yeah.
There was a lot more that had that. That was just the. Like, there was the Chiefs at the end of the night were missing fans, too,
yeah.
which was funny.
Yeah.
But,
Well, and so this was the thing I found interesting though, was that like, so I saw that like the very first few picks, and I was like, that's kind of cool. Well, I thought it was kind of cool. But then I realized, like, I'm looking on Twitch to see if any assholes were actually like just straight up just, here's the draft, I'm just going to show it, kind of thing. And they were.
yeah, they were.
And there was 2 people though on Twitch that said the part of the like draft party. And
Yeah.
like they were
So-
all and I'm sitting there like, how the fuck did I not find out about this?
It was pretty much anybody. It was anybody that went to that would normally be at like pretty much season ticket holders. They had the option to join the team's Zoom draft party, and
I
they
didn't
would be
get an
on.
option with that, and I'm a season ticket holder.
Well, did the Bills care?
No, because, I mean, I
The
am
Bills
a
also
number
didn't
one
have
fan, but
And
a first-round pick, which
yeah,
obviously
that's-
was...
yeah. that might hurt just a little bit. But anyways, I thought it was I thought it was interesting seeing the behind the looks of everything, and like of course there's just so many memes going around. Like you said, like there's the one with Titans head coach there, Vrabel, and his kids, and just that obscurity. The CeeDee Lamb's girlfriend grabbing his phone and him like basically giving her a dirty look. There's just so much ridiculousness like that. I loved it. I thought it was better this year than last year.
I didn't like that Roger Goodell tipped one of his picks.
Oh, the Dolphins
That's
pick?
True. Yeah.
Didn't like that. That was a.
I did like. What did you notice that Burrows tipped his pick too? I mean, it was obvious, but like, did you notice that one?
Yeah. How was it obvious? He should have gone number one.
Well, yeah. So he was sitting there with his hat, and the hat showed the NFL logo in bright orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying that, I mentioned that on stream. I'm like, hey, look, he's going.
I will say this: Roger Goodell made up for it for the simple fact that he actually made every pick that I saw, and because of that, he was so drained that he started. Like, we're watching the draft, and my wife's like, "This dude's a whore. Close your legs, dude."
What I tell you guys, I mean, he started like dressing down, like taking off his suit and tie and his jacket, and just slowly started like going relax mode and just.
It was great.
I loved it. Out in his chair.
I loved it. The other thing I didn't like is just the cover. So I watched it on ESPN. So I had Trey Wingo in them. I don't know how many other broadcasts they had, but I didn't like how ESPN was like they'd put up the person's like draft card after they got picked, and it'd be like, "Oh, led his team in sacks. Mother had cancer at age of 2."
That's what they did with everybody.
They were as a child. It's like, what is this? Why do I need to know that?
Yeah, they were doing that.
So many.
Yeah, there was like
background information.
Oh my, there was one that was just like it was nothing but like negative shit. It was just like there was an assault charge in this. There was a this in this. He then got caught like murdering someone in this, and then he did this and this. And I'm sitting there like, wait, what? Like, day 3.
They were doing that on every channel, which was just
And the simple fact that every single pick Trey Wingo said, this guy's interesting.
Did anyone else? Can we go over? So did anyone see Mel Kiper during the whole thing?
Dude, you love Mel.
Mel Kiper, yeah.
Did you see how he was like squinting and just like shaking and rocking back and forth with every single pick he was making, and he was just yelling at the camera?
Oh yeah, because I mean, he was angry.
Well, he should be angry.
He's an angry elf.
Good old South Pole guys.
Although I do, as much as I hate them, I miss the banter of the Mel Kiper and Todd McShay.
Yes, I did.
Feel bad that McShay wasn't able to be a part of it. That sucked.
But
I also didn't like how they kind of like made fun of the fact of the whole booing of Goodell. Like he was like playing it to his own
that kind of
strength. That was just weird to me, but.
He's been doing that a lot more years though. The last.
I'm wondering.
That.
Is he trying to do? Is he trying to do that to like make it so it's like not a thing anymore?
Probably.
He's trying to do. Yeah, he's trying to do it so people don't. That's like, oh, this is boring.
Exactly.
All right, well,
let's
let's get this started with the Arizona Cardinals. Who wants to go first?
What about them?
How do you think they did?
I mean.
You can go, Rob.
I mean, anytime you have a top 10 pick and you actually draft someone who should be going in the top 10, I feel like it's somewhat of a win just for the simple fact that you didn't screw it up. Like you didn't pull a Falcons or anything like that. Like and draft some ridiculous person. But I mean, other than that, it's like I'm looking through it. I mean, Josh Jones. I mean.
I think
could be something down. They didn't have that many picks either to begin with, because of all their trades and everything that they made. But they didn't mess it up. Nothing. And
I think they had a decent draft with what they did. I mean, because of course, Sturg hates it when this happens, but me and Jeff always look at it like this. Like they traded a second and got DeAndre Hopkins. So I mean.
That's not true. That's not. Yes, they traded a second and got DeAndre Hopkins, but they didn't draft DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, no, I'm saying though. So like 72, that's third round. So like they didn't have a second round pick. They got DeAndre Hopkins instead of a guy in the second round. So like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at theirs as more of like an off season in general, and I think I'm gonna kind of agree on everything, but it's if you're looking at like an off season, they are winning it because of the trading for DeAndre Hopkins. Having Isaiah Simmons fall to them is huge in my opinion, but it was one of those things where did they really need any of those guys? And I don't think they did, and I think that's the difference. Is they could draft for best position, best player available, and that happened to be Simmons. Coming down to him, and obviously helping that defense when they've already helped out the offense so tremendously this year already in the offseason. But then, like Rob said, I mean, Josh Jones falling to them in the third round, I mean, we're going to talk about it later too, but I think that's one of the steals of the draft. I mean, potentially top 20 guy.
But yeah, potentially
I'm going to say is just.
Oh yeah. I mean, and like I think we talked about it when we did our top fives. I think Josh Jones was either in our top fives or like just about in our top fives.
Mm-hmm.
So like the fact that he went on day 3 is kind of a fucking shock. And like Sturg said, when Isaiah Simmons kind of falls into your lap at number 8, like it's kind of hard to say that you had a bad draft.
Exactly, and then I mean they bolstered up their defense after that, which like I said, I mean they made big moves on their offensive side of the ball already this off season, and then they just bolstered kind of secondary depth players on defense, and I don't think you can argue that it's a pretty good draft on that side. So
yeah, I mean I don't think you're going to be looking back at this draft besides those top 2 guys and going, oh, that dude was a freak steal. Like
exactly.
It's going to be Jones
3,
and Simmons.
They got Jones, Simmons, and a guy named DeAndre Hopkins. So that's a pretty good top 3.
All right, so now we get to the Atlanta Falcons.
No one wants to talk about them. Just skip over them. It's just, oh my goodness.
I don't get it. I really don't. AJ Trill at 16,
well, I mean,
Marlon Davidson at 47.
They only had 6 picks, guys, so at least they did the most out of it,
I mean, did they though?
They drafted a punter in the 6th round or 7th round. I mean, with their 6th pick. Did they though?
Oh yeah, and they drafted a backup safety. They traded with Baltimore and drafted a backup safety. Did you know that? Because the Jets drafted Cal's starting safety.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep.
So I mean, he's like their nickel guy or whatever. But like, what are you doing?
Like I just
what are you doing?
There's better.
What are you doing, man?
I mean, like corner. I don't think AJ Trill was on any of our top 5s. Marlon Davidson wasn't on any of our top 5s. The center wasn't on any of our top 5s. I don't think. Like.
Oh no, the guy from the Temple, but he was actually a decent pick.
He was
Temple. I'm okay with that. Where they took him, that was solid.
I'm okay with it though. I mean, like my only thing is like the center from Wisconsin was still on the board at that point. I think that guy is like tremendously better. So
didn't he go in like the 7th round?
He went late. I don't think it was the 7th. It was late though because I was looking at it and I was trying to see if Baltimore was going to get him. And it just didn't happen. But I mean, they like the thing. It's the weird one. They picked a lot of players that none of us agree with, but they filled every need that they had.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I said. I thought they had other pressing needs that they could have gone, and that's my big thing for disliking their draft. I mean, they got some quality players after you actually look at it and break it down, but it's just I think they had more pressing needs, and I mean maybe you never know, maybe they couldn't trade back, But like Rob said, I think it was Rob, not Colin, but I love the Temple center, love that pickup, absolutely love it.
Yeah,
so
that's a good one.
1 out of 6. No, I mean. Not bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, the punter from Syracuse is becoming punter baby.
Oh,
you gotta have your claim somewhere.
Okay, gotta have your claim somewhere.
We got snow. Does that count?
Ravens. Ravens are up next.
Terrible.
I'm not even talking about them.
Thanks,
Terrible.
guys. Love you both.
No, I mean it's.
I
I feel like they did really good through the third round, and then after that, it's just like, all right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
See,
Maybe
that's
you
kind
did
of
good. Maybe you didn't.
like I sent Jeff a message at one point. They drafted Devin Duvernay.
Duvernay.
Yeah, Duvernay.
Duvernay from Texas. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
I don't
burner.
I don't remember if he was in the second day or third day, but I mean I remember messaging Jeff on. I was like, John Harbaugh literally just said "fuck yeah," jumped up like out of his seat and started clapping his hands. Like at that point, I'm sitting there like, cool, all right, I'm in. Like
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to know anything, but it's where you come to trust those guys.
yeah.
But
I can tell you,
I-
Duvernay's good. He fits Baltimore's scheme. He's a burner.
that's what I was
Oh, yeah.
about
He's
to say.
another. He's
Being
another
a
John
burner
Brown
is-
type. You
yep,
know, like.
Well, like and
absolutely.
for me, it's interesting going from one of the best drafters in Ozzie Newsome to now seeing how Eric DeCosta does it and seeing how they're similar but a little bit different in the same way. Like Patrick Queen's the first LSU player we've ever taken. And then J.K. Dobbins just kind of falls to us, and then that fits the Aussie scheme of like, cool, best player on the board, let's get him.
Oh, exactly. I
You
don't
know,
I'm
like-
not complaining about getting JK at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
He's just is typically. I'm not going to say it's going to happen to Mark Ingram because he's kind of been almost taken care of throughout his career. But typically, once you hit 30 years old, which Mark's coming up and going to be hitting that this year, you start to see a decline from running back. So it's
Well,
I don't see a problem with it at all. And I
saw,
I love Gus. And
yeah,
that's
of
going to
course,
be my
yeah,
biggest
you
downfall from him.
Yeah. Well, I saw one on Instagram that was talking about, it's like, people are talking about like this team of the future, or like these players, this one, and then it's like Baltimore literally just went Lamar Jackson, Hollywood Brown, J.K. Dobbins in 3 different drafts. Like, you want to talk about like a future of an offense, like.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand why you need 3 running backs on your team of that caliber, though. So, I mean, but that's my
So-
only
Because
concern
we're
there.
gonna run the veer.
I can tell
That's
you
why.
in all seriousness. So I think I said this in the text messages. The thing with Dobbins is he fits the Ravens. If you think of what Ohio State did, Ohio State is literally they run that zone read thing, but the zone read, like the running back gets the ball at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Like that's how deep they ride it, and that's what they're doing with Lamar Jackson. It's all this zone read option stuff, and when you're doing that, Dobbins is a perfect fit because he's been doing it for 3 years at Ohio State. So I mean, it's seamless. I know you guys like Gus, but let's be real. I mean, that's a
Well, I like Gus because of what
that's-
Gus did the second half of the year when him and Lamar both went at it.
Yep.
Like that first year. The second
was
year,
his
this
rookie
past
year, right?
yeah, that was his rookie year. This past
Yeah.
year, he took the seat obviously to Ingram, but it gave Ingram kind of that guy, so like Ingram didn't have to carry everything. I mean, he did, mind you, but I mean, he didn't have to. We could throw Gus in there, and Gus could run it down people's throats. I think
yeah.
Dobbins will.
Wait till you have a real running back doing that now.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, like the fact that we're going to have Ingram doing it, and then Ingram comes out, and then we get a guy probably by the end of the year a little bit better than Ingram and J.K. Dobbins, and then we're going to have Justice Hill coming in as a burner out of the backfield doing that shit. It's like, yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, I mean, the other one that I liked was Justin Matabuki.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
I really like Matabuki. Also, it took me a while to figure out how to say his name until like they actually started saying it. But Buffalo Bills, team that we don't really need to talk about this one.
Love it, dude. I mean, like you said, Rob knows best. You got Stephon Diggs with your first pick, dude. I mean, that's huge. You can't complain with that.
Yeah, that's how it works. Mel
No, in
Kiper
all
said it
reality,
once.
I don't think if Josh Jones wasn't grabbed by the Cardinals, I think the Bills could have had a good, solid chance of having to steal the draft, in my opinion. I mean, he fell because he's not as athletic as a lot of these guys, but he wins with power, and I think that's huge on the Bills' defense. That's my opinion. And then you go to Gabriel Davis. You figure out your height you needed, big body on the outside for Josh Allen. I mean, they're putting weapons around him. I don't know how I feel about the kicker. I mean, he's the number one kicker in my opinion in the draft. But, yeah. And then, you guys don't like Jake Fromm, but like I said, with the increased roster size and going to what am I looking for here? What's my word? And with Matt Barkley only having 1 year left in his contract, you really didn't have a choice. You kind of had to draft QB, and he's a winner. Obviously, you can't argue with that. He's won games. What do you want to say? So what are you guys' thoughts here?
I think I like the Espinoza. I think that was kind of a steal with how far he dropped. Now I know a lot of people are saying that he's slow. Who the fuck cares? He still gets to the quarterback. Even if he is slow, he still found a way to get to the quarterback. And do well as a Iowa D end. Zach Moss, I kind of like. Gabriel Davis, I didn't know a whole lot about until I started looking at some stuff. I like it. Fromm, I see. Fromm is the backup of the future for you guys. That's the best way that I can put that. I think you guys had a solid draft. I liked what you guys did.
Rob, what's your thoughts?
I can live with it. I mean, it's.
It wasn't a flash. It wasn't a flashy thing.
It was a weird draft once you got past round 4, because it was either someone who had truly fallen for a real ridiculous reason, or it was someone you honestly had never heard of. I mean, like Jake Fromm. There's got to be a real reason why this dude fell again. Like. There's no other reason.
The thing that they kept saying on the NFL Network was that he was falling because of his arm strength. Now I don't know if that's fucking true or not, but that's what I kept hearing them say anyway. Was the teams were questioning his arm strength.
Which, I mean, I guess I get it, but it's just like at the same time, it's like Chad Pennington played in the league and he couldn't throw it over 15 yards.
Yeah.
So I mean, what are we talking about here?
Exactly. All right, Carolina Panthers.
Love.
I was about to say, they had a very, kind of almost sneaky good draft.
Dude, there's another one though. It's just all these DNs that I had going kind of in the first round, they dropped. Their number 2 pick, Matos or whatever, however you want to pronounce it. That's huge. It just dropped.
Well, I mean,
Can we please address the fact that they're the first team ever to use every pick, all 7 picks on defensive players?
Wait, hold up a sec. No fucking way. Wait a minute.
Yep.
They're the first team ever to use all 7.
Let's go. I love it.
I like it. Well, then sorry. So also, did you know?
That's how they're gonna win.
Did you also know that they are the first team ever to have an XFL player on their team? To draft an XFL player.
Yes.
Kenny Robinson.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think I look at this roster and it's like Derek Brown, instant starter. Yurcha Gross-Matos, either he's going to be a starter or he's going to be a rotational guy, one of the two. Jeremy Chin is, I think, going to be a project safety that will see the field. But then getting Kenny Robinson, who's played in the XFL against NFL players, so you literally have film on him of what he can do, and getting him at number 152.
Yeah.
That's huge. And then, of course, Matt Rule gets his Baylor D tackle back, so.
I'm surprised Matt Rule didn't go after some more Baylor players. Although I say that, and he only won 1 year, so I guess I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I was also going to.
Only won 1 year? What do you mean?
When he was at Baylor, he only won in his last year. I mean, he was gone winless in his first season.
He was building, and this last year was where he saw all of his success.
The problem with his first year though is you got to think that he got all his scholarships taken away though too.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying it makes sense that he didn't take any Baylor players just because it's like, they really weren't that good. That was a product of his culture and system. But I mean, I love Troy Pride's a good pick. Like you said, Jeremy Chin's going to be a good pick. Gross Matos, we'll see. Derek Brown's going to be a stud, I think. But I think those are all really good picks, safe picks. You really can't go wrong with. I feel like you never really get, unless you miss. Like if Derek Brown misses, they'll get criticized for that. But otherwise, I feel like defensive players are usually always safe, especially in the later rounds. Like if you miss on a 5th round corner, whatever. Like, no one cares. Because that dude just becomes a special teamer.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing almost about receivers, though, too, in the 5th round.
Yeah, but a little less so, because they don't always become special teamers. Like defensive players can tackle. They become special teamers. You're gonna at least know who they are on the roster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're gonna know that they exist. But and I think that's part of the reason why they did it is because and also because Carolina had like the second worst defense in the league. But hey, who's counting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Chicago
It's gonna be great when
Bears.
Derek Brown's gonna be a Bill in a couple of years, though. The Bills love their ties to Carolina, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be glorious, dude. Ed Oliver and
Oh, that's
Derek
funny.
Brown in that defense. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Sorry, go ahead.
Chicago Bears.
Yeah, they're not worth our time.
Yeah,
That was fucking
They have
terrible.
about 70
Well, I mean, like,
tight ends on their
yeah, I
squad
mean,
now.
they have, what was it? I think the actual number is like 10.
The team that has more now is the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, shocking.
Yeah, because they drafted like 6.
They drafted 3. They just signed 3 more, and they had 3 on their roster. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like,
that's good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie though. I mean, like, I really do feel like we just don't need to talk about the Bears because, yeah.
I will say that they're addressing one need. The problem is they have a lot of others, but they're just one.
I do like the Jalen Johnson pick, though. I think it fits well in Pagano's defense. And
Potentially.
I think it really lacked last year. Correct, yes, obviously.
It depends
But
how his ACL heals.
That's,
He's the one who
that's
tore his
true, too,
ACL,
but
right?
His
I do believe so.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, his skill set fits that. The defense
That's
of
true.
Pagano's been known to run. So I mean, that's
Yeah.
I like the pick, but obviously, I mean, all these are depends how everything heals. If they can stay healthy, is it really going to translate into that? But this might be the second worst draft to the next team we're going to be talking about. But I mean,
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati Bengals with Sturg's
my goodness
favorite player
gracious.
in the entire draft, Joe Burrow. Sturge, what do you think about that
they
pick?
failed. Bottom line is they failed because they did not trade out of the number 1 spot. They have too many glaring needs, and as we've numerously spoke about, they need to put weapons on that offense, and they didn't do it. I don't like Higgins personally. I mean, I don't know what your guys' overall thought.
It was in my opinion, there was so many better receivers available on the board than Higgins at that point.
It's Higgins is not it, guy, not it. But
I will say I do like the Logan Wilson and the Hakeem Davis Gaithers pick, but again, there's when you gotta fix the entire ship and the only thing you fixed was the steering wheel. Like, I mean, what'd you really do?
I mean, how many picks is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So out of 7 picks, 3 of them were linebackers.
I mean, apparently they needed linebackers, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
the issue is they should have been doing best player available the whole draft, and they didn't even do it for the first pick. So who's letting who down here, guys?
I mean, I will agree. I do like the Logan Wilson and Hakeem Davis Gaither picks. Once I saw Davis Gaither goes to them, I was actually kind of pissed off because I wanted him to go anywhere but in the AFC North. Cleveland Browns.
I mean, that's the problem they're not looking at too. It's just that there's so many holes that they have to fill, like you said, Jeff, and just.
Did they even make a trade? I don't know if they even made a trade at all.
They took their 7 picks and moved on.
Yeah.
Okay, so draft analysis. The Cincinnati Bengals made very good picks.
Well, yeah, because
well, that's because everyone's high on Joe Burrow. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's what it comes down to.
But it's not even that either. It's when you pick number 1, as long as the picks you took are good names.
Yeah, you're fine.
T. Higgins is a good name. We might think he's overrated and bad, but it's a good name. Joe Burrows is a great name. Logan Wilson, McKean Davis Azers, like Khalid Kareem. Those are awesome names.
I'm just gonna say, out of all of the names,
strictly because they didn't trade. Like, even if they didn't trade the first one, why didn't you trade the second round pick?
Yeah,
number 1 overall. You could have got you needed to be like the Patriots and get like 18 picks, but you sat there and said, "Nah, we're good. We're gonna chill with what we got."
Also, if we're gonna talk about good names, I mean, I don't know if Joe Burrow is a good name. I mean, Hakeem Davis Gaither, that's a good name.
I mean,
Khalid Kareem is a good name.
You can't. Joe Burrows is a good name based off what everyone thinks he could be.
Yeah.
We just disagree with that. That's what it comes down to. I kind of compare their draft, to, I don't know if you guys ever do a Yahoo Fantasy Football draft. Yahoo Fantasy Football drafts, the people that get the best grades are the ones that pick the most players that Yahoo has rated high. That's who gets the highest grade in the Yahoo Fantasy Football League, and that's what happened here. They got the number one player that everyone had graded high, which automatically gives them a good draft. I don't agree with it, but that's what it comes down to.
Cleveland Browns.
Actually,
Fuck the
I'll be
Cleveland
the
Browns.
first to. I thought it was a good draft.
Well, no, that's
Cleveland
why I'm
Browns.
saying fuck the Cleveland Browns. Because I like what they did.
A lot of high potential, low risk players.
My only thing is who was available when Wills went. I didn't personally have him that high. But who was available as tackle? Wasn't Wirfs was still available?
Literally every tackle, but
except Anthony,
yeah.
right? Thomas.
Yeah, Andrew Thomas.
Yeah. So I mean, I think Becton is a better option than him. I think Wirfs was a better option than him. I like the position
Actually,
that they went for. What's up?
Did Becton go the pick before?
I was gonna say
Becton was the Jets.
Yeah,
I think Becton went the pick before.
I'll find out.
Or the pick after.
It was a pick
Becton
after.
was right around it.
He was 11, yeah. So that's even more so.
Okay.
I think Becton, like I said, I think Becton was a better option for them. I think Wirfs was a better option. But
I do want to say this. I think the reason they went with Wills, though, is because Wills was a right tackle. And who did they just sign this offseason? Conklin, who's a left tackle. So I think in their mind,
Conklin's a right tackle. They were saying that they were saying that they were going to move Wills to left tackle because Wills is, as Mel Kiper said, quote, like he's quote like athletic.
Oh, maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't know.
Like I said, that's another reason I don't get it is because they drafted the right tackle, not the correct one, but the right one.
I like the pick strictly because I think the Browns are going to go back to they're going to run the ball down your throat and they're going to do play action shots and that's how they're going to get the ball deep and all that. And I think he is the best run blocking lineman available in my run blocking tackle because the dude from Louisiana Lafayette's the best run blocker, but I think he's the best run blocking tackle available, and I think it's a nice, safe, easy pick that you can't really be upset about, you know.
Yeah, I mean
I love Del Pitt. I love
Del Pitt. He fell. That was the.
And now they have Hooper, David Njoku, and Harrison Bryant now, so they got a good 3 tight end combo. So, they had a solid draft. They literally they basically did what Jeff was saying a little bit ago. It's like take best player available. They got on the board. They saw who was there. They basically took best player available, and it was a need. And most of the time, they fucking hit it out of the park.
And honestly, I don't know how you guys feel about him, but as a late pick, I love grabbing Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Ron's like,
I don't know if you saw that dropped pass against Penn State in overtime, but whatever.
There's a lot of people that drop passes, and you can't judge them on a couple of them.
Not with the game on the line.
Mari Cooper's done it. Stevie Johnson's done it. I love Stevie Johnson. Still will.
Stevie Johnson. Yeah. Oh man, he was so good.
Speaking of Amari Cooper,
what was wrong with Stevie Johnson?
He had 1 year and then he dropped every pass.
Dropped every pass. Come on, he was one of the most sure-handed guys out there.
Dallas Cowboys.
Literally, I'm pretty sure in Madden his catch rating was 12.
Colin, we're not moving on yet. Stevie Johnson was one of two Bills players to ever have 3,000-yard back-to-back seasons. Name receivers that can do that, and then we can talk. Do you know who his quarterbacks were then, Rob?
Julian Edelman.
Who was his quarterback? I don't really care. Who was his quarterback?
Oh, we're talking about
Calvin Johnson.
Who I don't really care about Calvin Johnson because Stafford just threw it up to him. But who was Stevie Johnson's quarterback during that time?
Oh, I meant at like the
Probably
beginning of
Ryan
Calvin's
Fitzpatrick.
career, but
Ryan Fitzpatrick. Good luck. And thank you for proving my point. Next.
Dallas
Thank you.
Cowboys.
I
Here
mean,
we-
he's better. He's better than Kirk Cousins.
Oh my god.
All
I
right,
wouldn't even say
Cowboys.
all that.
Cowboys. Hey, Cowboys did really good for 2 rounds, and then who gives a shit?
Yeah. The only pick in the late rounds that I liked was the center from Wisconsin.
Cannot go wrong with a Wisconsin lineman.
Well, I mean,
Cannot.
especially to replace Fredrickson. I mean,
Yeah. Well, they had to. They had to replace Trevor. I mean, that's.
the craziest thing to think about is that like at 146, they may have just found his replacement.
Yeah.
So-
Well, the thing is, I mean, with CeeDee Lamb falling to you, same thing with them. I mean, do they need a receiver? Not a chance that they need a receiver. But can you pass up a guy like CeeDee Lamb at that position when you have a lot of, players. You have a lot of guys that are there already. You don't need anyone around him, but I like it. I like their draft, and I love the fact that Diggs fell to him just because I had him going to him in the first round. I mean, but that's besides the point. So, still counts, guys. Still counts. I was right.
I think this is going to be a make or break year for Dak Prescott now. As soon as they drafted CeeDee Lamb, basically the writing is on the wall. Either you fucking show that you should get the money that you want, or get the fuck out.
Or we're going to trade up for Trevor Lawrence. That's what's going to happen.
Yep.
I mean,
100%. There's not any doubt in my mind.
Lawrence? No.
No. They will draft a QB next year. I can tell you that, or they will trade for a QB next year.
Unless Jerry Jones is stubborn and tries to wait on a late round guy like you got, I'm sure say middle round guy like you got Dak. I mean, then you're still in an issue. But
Yeah, then they're gonna suck for a long time.
So then you got to
Denver Broncos.
Maybe they'll trade for Jake Fromm by then. I don't know.
Denver
Colin's really
Broncos?
pushing us around here. Okay, he's really
That's because
just-
he's not wrong. We're going really slow.
Well, also, I mean, it's one of
But-
those things. It's like most of these, it's that thing where we said like day 3, yeah, we know like 1 or 2 names on day 3. So if we know 1 or 2 names, then that's it. How many people are other people gonna fucking know off of these ones?
I mean, you could have just broken this. If you really thought about it, you should have just broken it into 2 weeks, 16 and 16, guy. That's what you should have done here.
Yeah, no, because I gotta hit it now while the iron's hot.
Oh my goodness. Okay. You do what you got to
Anyway.
do, boo boo.
Hey, Broncos had the best draft.
Oh, okay.
I
See-
think they had the best draft because they
Why?
met. Now this is strictly based off of they like Drew Lock.
Mhm.
In my mind, it's stupid that they haven't replaced him yet, but they like him. Okay, and what did they do? They're the one team that went out there and said, Drew Lock, we're going to give you every weapon possible.
Yeah.
We're going to get you the best route runner in the draft, and then we're going to get you one of the fastest receivers in the draft, and then we're going to get you a center. We're going to get you a tight end. We're going to get you a guard. We're going to get you another wide receiver. They just kept getting them players over and over, and then while they subsequently added a couple D linemen in there, I mean, they truly they've helped their team. They went out there and they met needs.
See, before you said that, I was just like, yeah, they had a pretty good draft. But now that you say that, it makes it's about time that a fucking team does this. Just to be blatantly obvious with it, it's about fucking time a team does this, where they get a young quarterback and they're like, hey, we're gonna help this guy, and then they go out and they actually go and get him weapons instead of Mitchell Trubisky, and they don't get him any fucking weapons and say they're gonna help him out.
Yeah, I mean,
My
don't get
only
me
thing
wrong.
is
I don't know how good these guys are going to be.
Of course, neither do I. But
But they at least are trying to sit there and go, we like Drew Lock, so let's actually try.
Yeah, I mean, if you like your guy you have in the building, I agree with that. But I don't agree with not addressing the defensive side of the ball when you lose Chris Harris last year. I don't like waiting to get number 3 when you could have got someone. Why go after the dude Hamler from Penn State when you already have Cortland Sutton in the house and now you just brought in Judy? Why wait on a corner when
Hamler can
defense
also
kinda-
return. That's one of the reasons. Hamler's a return guy as well. I know who cares, but
you got it. You win with defense too. You're not gonna, like we said, Drew Lock.
Well, so this is
not in 1 year though.
Well, and this is the other
let's
thing.
be real. Do you honestly think they're going to win in one season?
Well, no, but I mean, especially in that division.
Maybe that's what they're sitting there. Maybe they're going, hey, let's stock it up so Drew Lock can get some confidence. And once he's got his confidence, we'll roll. We'll start loading.
Well, that was one of the things I was going to mention just barely was that, and Jeff quickly hit it with the conference. Every single AFC West team, basically all you ever heard any of the announcers talking about or anyone they showed talking about was that this team needs to get firepower so they can keep up with the Chiefs. Like the only team that did
I wholeheartedly disagree with it, but
well, no. I wholeheartedly disagree with that statement too. But that's what they were saying, though.
Yes, they were. And it was obnoxious.
The only team that decided to say, fuck you to that was the Chargers. And the Chargers were like, we're going to get more defense. Which we're going to get to in a little bit.
The Chargers are also way better than their record.
Oh, of course. But, I mean, that was what I was saying.
Raiders?
That's what I'm getting at, though, is that, with these, with what Sturg's saying, they just got a ton of offensive weapons. All anyone's been talking about is how are we going to score and compete with the Chiefs. And almost every AFC West team, it seemed like that's all they were doing. And when it gets to Oakland, we'll see that, but Detroit. I liked Detroit's draft.
I was a fan.
Yeah. Big fan.
I was a big fan. I think... like normal. I mean, once you get into certain rounds, it's just whatever. But I mean, I don't really understand why they got DeAndre Swift. I think that was a reach and a half. But I mean, I like that they addressed their offensive line needs. They addressed getting a defensive back with what's his face leaving, so that was important. So I mean, but it's just a matter of making sure. They're one of the teams. They're like the Pats. They're really freaking old. Mm-hmm. They need to get youth in there. It's that simple. So I mean, that's the only reason why I understand getting a running back. He was in their mind, he was probably the best player available. I disagree wholeheartedly, but I love Julian Okwara. You guys know that in the text chain that we have. I think he has the potential to be a freak. And I like the pick. They're all safe. Again, anytime a coach is on the hot seat, he's going to go with safe picks, and that's what Patricia did. He went with very safe picks. No one can sit there and go, "Oh, DeAndre Swift," when he's going to split carries in his rookie year. Okay, if he's good, he's good. If he's bad, he's bad. I mean, it is what it is. So.
Yeah, I do like, everything you said, just top on that, I do like the Jonah Jackson pick too, and it's mostly because they are getting old at the guard position, and I think he can definitely come in and take over that position from there. I don't have a problem with that pick, but it's just, again, they have so many glaring needs, and I like the fact they used all these picks to start filling it, but I don't think they should have taken 2 running backs.
Yeah, I agree with the DeAndre Swift one. That was the one that kind of I was like, okay, they assume that he's best player available. That's what they did. That's what it seemed like to me. Otherwise, I like what they did. They got better at the line. They added Okwara, who is going to be playing with his brother. And then Okuda. It's kind of hard to not say that he deserved to be the 3rd pick. The fun one now, the Green Bay Packers.
So honestly, I only have one problem.
Okay.
Truly, I have one problem. It's the simple fact that they didn't go and get a single wide receiver. Literally everything else is fine. Dude, in the 7th round, you couldn't go get a wide receiver.
Yeah, right.
Anything. You went guard, center, guard. I love the fact the tight end from Cincinnati, good pick. A.J. Dillon, he's going to be just like Eddie Lacy was. Mm-hmm. He's just going to get the ball on those little runs. And I don't mind the Jordan Love pick. I think Jordan Love's a good pick if you're at that point in your program where you're sitting there and going, hey, when Rodgers' contract's up, he's gone. We're not touching him again.
Well, also,
That's
one of those
pretty
things.
much
Well,
what they said.
It's a 4/5 year deal, so it gives Rodgers 4/5 years.
So it's interesting.
To me, the first thing I want to say is that John Runyon apparently hung up on the Packers when they called him.
Love it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I sent
That's
it to Jeff today. He did it by accident, and he tried calling back, and it wouldn't go through.
He was probably freaking out.
That's the whole thing.
Cut.
He was like, I don't know what to do. Like, what do I do? Like,
I'm already cut. That's awesome.
Yeah.
My thing with theirs is that just like I agree with the wide receiver thing, but it's like this seems like a very we're thinking about the future, not the near future. Like what a lot of teams it feels like a lot of teams do these days. They're thinking near future.
Are you though? I mean, they did just go to the conference championship, and what'd they do? They went out and helped Aaron Rodgers with the line.
Well, yeah,
they didn't. You got to remember, they didn't get to the conference championship with Rodgers throwing the ball. They got there because they ran the ball down people's throats.
Yeah, but then also remember they couldn't throw the ball that much with Rodgers because.
Well, yeah, I mean that's. Is it because of that? I mean, in all honesty, I'm part of the cult group that thinks Aaron Rodgers is very overrated, and I'm not a fan of his at all. I think it's just obnoxious.
My thing is
if you're
that
a quarterback, you throw to who you have. Like you got someone, throw the effing ball to him. How about this? Why don't you be smart enough to help your coach with a friggin' playbook that's something besides running vertical, and I'll throw it back shoulder. Oh, crazy! It's the only throw you can do. But
he can do it really well,
and he's really good at Hail Marys.
Yeah. Fair enough. No, I mean, that's my thing. Is it just to me, like I said, this seems like a future thing. Like getting Jordan Love at this point is admitting that they're looking deep, they're looking past the franchise they have now. If that makes that's the way that I see it. I like what they did though. I mean, getting like I said, getting AJ Dillon. Yeah. The Cincinnati tight end apparently is
I'm a big fan of the Cincinnati tight end pick. I think it's a really safe, really smart pick.
I love the fact that he looks like a scumbag. And that he's a good player, so I mean.
I like the AJ Dillon pick like you guys do, but I don't like getting him that high. I think they could have waited on it.
Oh, they definitely could have waited, yeah.
Or traded back.
63, right?
63, AJ Dillon reminds LaFleur of Derrick Henry, which that's who he was around. That's that's the offense he's trying to move to, obviously.
You should remind him of that because all AJ Dillon's ever played with in BC as well is 3, 4, 5 tight ends. They're the only college team that runs 13 personnel
religiously. And I think it's going to be a lot better. He's gonna figure it out. This is gonna be the second year in the offense for him, and now he's finally starting to get his team around. And that you can say that all you want that it doesn't matter, but I think it does. You got to be able to get your players in to run your scheme, and when you run it like that, there's not many rosters that are built like that.
Houston Texans.
Horrible. Bill O'Brien. We can skip it. He's garbage.
The only.
I like Blacklock.
That's what I was about to say. That's the only pick I like.
I don't even like that one.
Wow.
I think it's stupid.
But
it's
the fact
idiotic.
Is that
Move
I
on.
like Blacklock. In the second round right there, I do like Blacklock. But like I said, the problem with that pick is that that's the pick that you got for DeAndre Hopkins. You replaced DeAndre Hopkins with Ross Blacklock. Dumb. All right,
we'll find out. Remember, if Ross Blackhawk's better. Yeah, if Ross Blackhawk's better than the Ravens guy, because the Ravens also took the D-tackle, what's-your-face, after Ross Blacklock.
Yeah.
So when Blacklock sucks and the Ravens guy is good, not only did the Texans blow it once, they blew it twice.
Yeah.
Next.
Indianapolis Colts.
You can't compare those because someone's going to be a lot better off in the Ravens.
I'm comparing.
You're not going to be able to compare apples to apples there. Sorry.
I really liked Indianapolis' draft.
Why?
I like Michael Pittman. with them not having a first round pick, getting Pittman, I like it. I think that he was kind of one of the receivers that wasn't one of the top tier ones, but he potentially could be one of the top tier ones. The Jonathan Taylor pick, I just think is just, they like running the ball. Now they're going to add another back to their little stable that they have, and just, let him fucking have some fun with Quentin Nelson and the rest of the line that they have. The Julian Blackmon pick is okay. Jacob Eason, that at 122, that's them saying okay, this is a dude that can sit behind Brissett and Rivers and potentially could be the next guy that takes over.
I was gonna say the Eason pick. I think I like besides the Pittman pick. Is one of their best. I'm not a fan of the Jonathan Taylor pick. I think he's a great player, but I don't think they need a running back.
I don't, but it's that's my thing with Indianapolis is that they seem like a team that they want to run the ball, but they it seems like they haven't had the backs to run the ball, or they don't know how to do it with the backs they have. Adding Jonathan Taylor just adds another guy to the backfield. That's okay, cool. Let's just fucking run these guys through.
Another guy that can fumble.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep. The only thing I will say is that their coach, Frank Reich, does come from Philadelphia. When is the last time Philadelphia has paid a running back? Come on, guys. Come on. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't.
LaShawn McCoy.
Did they, though? Did they? They traded him to the Bills. So, I mean, even if you want to say that, that was...
Westbrook.
So, exactly. Brian Westbrook, that's where you can go.
Darren Sproles.
Marlon Mack, I believe, is a free agent after the 2021 year.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're going to get a running back. That's, one thing I do like is, they will get a running back for cheap. That's the way they like to run it, and a lot of people have that same way of thinking where running backs are disposable. It's to each their own on really how you feel about that, but, I mean, I think, has a lot to do with it. So...
That's fair. That makes sense.
Not that I agree with it. I'm just saying that that's probably the thought, man.
Yeah.
That's probably the thought process. But...
Sturge?
Next.
Oh,
No,
next
that's you guys said it all.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, you mean the London Jaguars did great.
Yeah,
Next.
sorry. The London Jaguars.
I don't...
No, they did fine. They're just a team that they have so many fucking needs.
They have so many needs, but now
matter,
now I'm looking at what player positionally they picked. They literally just picked all over the board. They literally just was just cool. We just go here.
I think that they sat there and whoever they thought was the best player available, they took him, which was smart for them because they need to build names because when they move to London, they need people to buy jerseys.
Names.
Bro,
and they also have everyone requesting trades, too, with the way apparently they treat people in the organization. So that's really what they should be worried about.
I'm reading that draft analysis, and it says here, Oregon State quarterback Jake Luton will compete for playing time if Gardner Minshew falters in 2020. Will he, though?
Scary.
Will he, though?
Hey, you can't do much worse than... I mean, it can't much worse. Let's be real. So.
Really, the two I like the Chasen pick and I like the Shenault pick.
I like the Shenault pick, but like Rob said, I don't think it's gonna matter.
Yeah,
I think he's put in the group message, and you're never gonna hear from him again.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you sent that, I read that and I'm just like, fuck, he's right.
It's so upsetting.
But this is the other thing as well. Is that let's say the Jacksonville Jaguars knocked out every single pick, and all three of us were like, yeah, this was the best draft ever in the history of drafts. Even if they do move to London, how many of these guys want to move to fucking London?
That doesn't matter. If they're under contract, they're under contract.
Oh, yeah, it's true. But I mean, they also have to sign this contract.
It's true.
First off, they're not going to be moving to London for a while, so half these people aren't even going to be on the roster when they do move. So,
and tomorrow they'll be in the news that they move. That would be fucking hilarious.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep, Kansas City Chiefs.
We're not going to talk much about this, in my opinion, just because they're bringing back the majority of their roster.
Yeah, which is
great. You can pick the best player available, which is why they went with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and it fits Andy Reid's scheme, and I love the pick as far as a running back going there. And now you have 5 years of them.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing with them. They love cheap running backs. Get them, run them into the ground for 5 years, and you're gone.
Yeah, I mean, you literally get one of the, if not the best back in the draft, and his whole thing is gonna be like, look, Mahomes' arm is a little bit sore. You're gonna run the ball for 5 plays. Don't not get a first down.
Year too.
You know.
They who was it? Who's the running back they drafted last year, guys?
Oh, the Henderson or whatever his name is. Yeah, the guy who he got 1 carry in the Super Bowl and he got stuffed at the goal line and you didn't see him again.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they thought he was going to be like a big breakout guy last year, and then they end up be like, we're probably gonna have to sit him for another year, and now. And they went with Darwin Thompson. That's who it is.
Thompson.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, he's another. I mean, young guy that So they've Damian Williams, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Darwin Thompson. I mean, it's pretty solid, speedy backfield. Let's go. And like I said, it fits Andy Reid. So I don't have a problem with that at all.
I mean, can you really have any issue when the Super Bowl champs are just adding to their roster? They didn't really lose anyone, so
exactly.
Whatever.
They didn't lose
like that's the thing. Like
Sean McCoy who didn't play.
Yeah. Oh, you lost from Sean McCoy and just added, the LSU power back. Yeah, no big deal. Oakland Raiders. Fuck me.
Oakland.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Worst draft. Seriously,
Darius Hayward
worst draft.
This is one of the things they literally said on draft night. They said that they went with Henry Ruggs because as soon as Tyreek Hill scores, and now now Las Vegas has a player, that now they can immediately score right back with Henry Ruggs. And as soon as I heard that, I was just like, they didn't just say that. That's really not a thing, right? That people
reason.
are like.
Life works.
I don't get it. I don't, the Arnett pick, like, okay, I guess. Like, I wouldn't have got him at 19.
Guess.
Yeah,
you're really gonna say? I'm not a fan of it, but you can say whatever you want. But I do like the Kentucky guy there, Bowden.
Bowden, yeah.
I think he's a great pick.
He's a scumbag.
Is he?
Scumbag.
I don't care about personal problems. He fits in with Oakland then. I mean, that's...
No, Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, my bad. Well, I don't know if he fits in Las Vegas. I haven't seen the guys there.
It's Las Vegas. Of course he fits in there.
When I say scumbag, that's like putting it nicely.
Really?
Yeah.
You sure?
Positive.
Where do you get your information from?
Okay.
The internet.
LA Chargers.
No problem. No problem with the pick.
I was gonna say that I like their draft. They had a nice solid little draft. They didn't have anything on day 2 because they didn't have any day 2s, but I mean Herbert, Murray, Josh Kelly.
Especially for the fact that Herbert can sit for a year.
Oh yeah. He's
Murray. That was a great job jumping back into the first round. I mean, it's weird to not have a second or a third round pick, but
yeah. Well, I mean, it's weird to say that, but then you look at what they did, and it's still like they still had a really good draft, even though they didn't draft anyone on day 2.
I mean, getting KJ Hill in the 7th round is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
If you don't know who KJ Hill is, he's the guy who ran the wrong route in the last play of the playoffs. Yeah, he's the reason that Ohio State wasn't in the playoffs. If you want to say it that way. You could also say that it's 100% what's-his-face's fault. Fields. Up to you.
Teach your own, whatever you guys decide to say.
LA Rams.
I think they got some good value with Akers, whatever you want to pronounce it. I think they did, and they had to replace. Gurley.
Gurley.
You had to replace him, and I think they did that, and that was successful to start off the draft. Van Jefferson, I think, was good value. Right after that, get another receiver. I think he kind of fits in with the receiver they have. What's his? Why am I blanking here? It'll come
Which
to me, guys.
one?
Don't worry.
Cooper Kupp.
Not Robert Woods.
Who's
The
that?
other one there.
Cooper Kupp.
Cup. There you go. I think he fits in really nicely with Cooper Kupp.
Kupp.
Robert Woods, I still don't like him from Bills days now because he left us, but that's really about it. But I think he fits in really good. After that, I mean, I think you've got a lot of positional players that could add depth to the squad, and so I don't have a problem with their draft. I think the top 2 picks they nailed with where they were picking from. So
I think they had a solid draft that wasn't that flashy, and they picked really good players across the board.
I don't know if Akers or
I don't think, like, when you said
is
replacement,
their
I was
guy.
no. I think he's a oh shit, we need to get a running back, and then at 52
Well, exactly
they're
what I
looking
was
at the
saying,
board
dude.
like
But the thing is
I think
Dobbins
he
was
is
there
their
at that
guy.
time, and that was
I
my
think
issue. That's
you guys are forgetting Cam Akers played most of his career with Jimbo Fisher, and that is a pro-style zone scheme team.
fair enough.
So I think Cam Akers is the guy that they're thinking is going to be like Gurley. The problem with Cam Akers is no one's heard of him for 2 years because he's been playing with crappy Willie Taggart, freaking losing a shit ton of games ever since they got rid of Jimbo Fisher. So it's kind of like so Akers' draft stock just plummeted because there's nothing he can do. It wasn't his fault that they decided,
he
hey,
could
you
have
know
done
what?
something.
He should have transferred. Is what he should have done.
I was just if you transfer, I like the guy for sticking it out.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could say that side of things too. You know, there's a lot of guys that would have transferred when that happens, and he stuck it out. So good for him. Good
The
for
Miami
him.
Dolphins.
You guys love their draft. I hate it. So whatever.
I just love the fact that they literally just said, fuck the fans, we're drafting players who you can barely say the names of.
That's filling up jerseys.
I mean,
that's what they're trying to do.
Tua
They're just filling
Tagovailoa
up
and then
jerseys.
Noah Igbanahi, so yeah, like, I can't wait to hear drunk Dolphin fans say those names,
You have to be drunk to watch the Dolphins.
So
in the
you're gonna
first
think I'm
place,
crazy. I actually don't really like their first. Besides, I love Tua. I think that's a great pick because it's just straight up value. I mean, you weren't going to get anything else at that spot that you could convince your fan base you know what you're doing. So why not go out there and get a guy that has the potential to be your franchise quarterback? Makes sense to me. I think that's easy. I hate the Austin Jackson and Noah whatever's pick. I despise it. Austin Jackson, that's such a reach. Like, what are you doing?
I didn't like that one
Trade
as well.
it.
I thought
Trade
it was
the pick.
I thought
Trade
it was a
back.
reach, but then once I saw the kid's 20.
I don't care.
Oh, well,
Trent
like,
Williams is available. Trent Williams was available.
What was that thing?
We
It's
haven't
like,
got to
was
that point
he?
yet.
For what? What do you end up going for,
But-
guys? Come on.
That's
A
the
fourth
thing.
round
That's what
pick.
comes. Exactly. That's even worse.
Exactly.
Even worse.
And you said, "Oh, let's draft Austin Jackson." I would have easily called Washington and been like, "Hey, we'll give you one of these crappy first rounders." You know what they could have probably done? Hey, we'll give you the 18th pick for Trent Williams. Oh, and by the way, with the 30th pick, we pick Austin Jackson because he still would have been available.
That's true. I after like looking at a little bit of his film and realizing that he's 20, like, I like Austin Jackson. I don't like him at 18.
That's what I mean. That's all it is. It's not. Yeah, it's not the player. The player, he'll be fine eventually. But I mean, I just. I really like. I love Robert Hunt. I think Raekwon Davis is a good pick.
Curtis Weaver.
McKinley's a good pick. Curtis Weaver's a good pick. Malcolm Perry is a freak athlete who's gonna
Why
be a
do
good
you-
pick.
Why do you see this guy, Blake Ferguson?
The long snapper from LSU.
I was gonna say it says he's a center, but he's a long snapper. Why draft a long snapper? You're not gonna tell me
'Cause he's from
a
LSU.
long snapper that badly.
No, because it's a coach that coached with Bill Belichick, and they think that shit's really important.
Well, long snappers are important. I mean, the Bills have his brother, so.
They're really
it's
not
just-
that important.
Whoa. Where's John Jarenice when you need him?
Oh, Johnny. Minnesota Vikings.
Um,
Pretty bad because they traded Stephon Diggs.
yeah, I mean they traded Stephon Diggs and got this Justin Jefferson as a replacement. Was that really worth it? I think I'd take Diggs all day, but what do I know? I'm just a lonely
Actually,
Bills fan.
I don't mind their draft. I think it's okay. They had a lot of picks,
Well, like that's my thing is like I'm looking at it now and it's like
but it's a lot
I'm
of people that you.
is it the fact that they had a good draft? Is the fact that they had so many picks that like it's just tough for them to physically not have a good draft because
How do they have so many picks? Though that's a better question. What are they gonna do with all these people?
Cut
Why?
'em.
yeah.
Exactly. Just, I love actually with the 5th round. I love Harrison Hand. I thought that was a solid pick. I was a big fan of him. James Lynch, another big guy that I think could cause some disruption on the defensive line. I didn't know Adrian Dantzler's brother was in the league, but that's kind of cool. Then also, I do like Ezra Cleveland, though. I think that was pretty good value in the second round there.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan
I
of
like
Ezra,
that pick.
so solid pick there. But I mean, they drafted for need, and I think they hit it there. You gotta give Baker weapons. Or Baker, Kirk. You see what the connection I made there, guys?
Mm.
And what Ezra Cleveland, and then went there. But no, they got to give Kirk more weapons after losing Stephon. I think they did that with Jefferson, and then they lost some cornerbacks too. So I don't have a problem with them going there. So, like I said, it's a solid draft, but it's one of those. Can it not be a solid draft when you have 400 picks?
Yeah.
So
Actually, some would say it could easily be more of an I was gonna say unsolid, more of a liquid draft.
Ooh.
an unsolid draft.
New England Patriots.
I don't even want to talk about them, so you guys can go for it.
My thing with it is like as soon as Kyle Duggar went off the board and like everyone's like, who's this guy? I'm sitting there like fucking shocking fucking Belichick takes fucking Duggar. But then my favorite part of the whole thing is I'm taking Josh Uchi and then looking at my phone and seeing a message from Sturg. Who the fuck is Josh Uchi?
And that's where it went for the rest of it. Like it's
I'll be honest with you guys. The draft, I honestly, it's in terms of living here and hearing this my whole life. This is your prototypical, or when they were in the 2000s, when they were really good and going on these runs, your prototypical New England Patriots draft, where it's a lot of people that you've never fucking heard of before in your goddamn life, and they're just gonna sit there and they're gonna. They don't care. They don't care what you think. They're gonna make the picks that they want to make, and it's either gonna work out for them or it doesn't. No worries.
Yeah, I mean it's no, I mean
Truly look at it. I don't hate their picks. Like if I really think about it, some of them are question marks for me. Like I don't get some of them, but I don't hate
like
them.
that's the other thing is like how many times have we said that after New England makes as a draft and we're like, yeah, we don't understand that, and then that guy turns out to be something.
Exactly. Like it's just one of those drafts where you're just like, yeah, sure. Take your word for it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's what a lot of the Patriots fans are going to say too. Is there? We trust Bill, and that's where we're going to stick to it. So
this next team shows the difference between this team and Minnesota that just happened. The Saints.
Dude, love it. Greatest pickup ever.
They had four
Jameis Winston.
They had 4 picks in this draft, and they like.
So we're not talking about Jameis Winston?
Not right now because they drafted Tommy Stevens.
I don't care about Tommy Stevens. I care about Jameis Winston. He's a stud.
Oh, that's unfortunate. But I mean, Cesar Ruiz, Zach Bond, Adam Troutman, and then the quarterback from Mississippi State. I mean, 4 picks, 3 of them are knockouts versus 300 picks where there's probably going to be 2 knockouts. Like,
You still
Yeah, I'm sure.
There? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can
My
hear you.
Wi-Fi
I can
just
hear you now.
glitched
Yeah,
out on me. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Saints. I feel like they do what they always do. They had a solid draft, no real
Yeah,
risks.
The only one that was interesting to me was getting Ruiz because they literally just drafted a center last year in the first round.
I mean, yeah, I don't have a particular liking to that, but I love the fact that you have 4 picks. Okay, you're trying to draft Tommy Stevens because you need a backup guy. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if you lose Teddy, if Taysom Hill gets injured, okay, then you got to deal with that. But the fact is that Troutman, like we were talking about, probably the most upside of any of the tight ends, the most
I felt
unproven
like
guy.
the Saints took all the big names for those lower positions.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Sorry.
Zach Vaughn. I'm saying
Yeah.
3rd round. I think that's great value for him.
Well, yes, like I think that like I think Ruiz was kind of like okay, cool, this dude fell to us, let's take him. But then literally every other one was really a like, why the fuck is Zach Bond on the board? I don't know. Fucking send his name in. Why is Adam Troutman's name on the board? I don't know. Fucking hurry, send it in. Like I think that's literally what it was. It was just a great day of just like guys sliding to them and being like, oh, cool, look. Pro Bowler in a few years, possibly.
You were saying how they drafted a center last year.
Mm-hmm.
From everything I was reading, is that they actually wanted Ruiz to play guard.
Okay, fair
because
enough.
they have Warford, who's in the final year of his contract. They were saying. I think he's only 28, but why not go cheaper at the position if you can? And I think that was great value. Getting him towards late to end of the first round. I think that was can't argue is probably the best interior lineman on the board. And going from center to guard isn't really that much of a
not that bad.
jump. So.
Yeah. All right, so before this pick happens, we have to say goodbye to one of our guests. Sturg, before you leave, would you like to make any announcement or anything? Any final words?
Yes, I would. I hope the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the Super Bowl so I can laugh hysterically when Tom Brady and Gronkowski are wearing hideous uniforms, holding a Lombardi trophy, and I hope they beat the Patriots. Because it would be
No, Rob. Don't give him anything.
I was going to say what's hilarious is the fact that it cut out right as he said hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, it's gone. So.
All right, so New York Giants, Jeff, what'd you think? Oh, Jeff, did you leave too? Giants was, I mean, the only thing I didn't really like, I mean, most of the draft wasn't bad. I didn't like the fact that they took Andrew Thomas so high, right? I didn't see him being the 4th guy on the board, especially with Worf's on the board. As everyone knows, I was a huge supporter of Worf's, and I liked Worf's. And even with Wills on the board and with Becton on the board, I thought all those guys were better than Andrew Thomas. So Andrew Thomas going 4th, wasn't a huge fan of that. Other than that, though, I mean, double dip in a tackle, adding more linemen to it. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of it was a solid draft. They had a lot of things they needed to. And
All right, sorry guys, technical difficulty there. I apologize.
So I just got done going over the Giants. I thought that I liked what they did other than Thomas.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a reach on Thomas, but it's one of those that if he's your guy, go get him. But I compare it to Oakland's pick last year of jumping up and grabbing Clinton Farrell. I don't think it was the right move, I don't think Farrell's shown anything to prove me wrong in his first year, but he could continue to do it later. I don't know, but yeah, I agree.
Right, so moving on to the New York Jets. I don't like it. I don't like their draft. The only thing I like is LaMichael P. Ryan. That's it.
Really, that's it.
That's it.
So I like the pick of Mekhi Becton. I don't like where they got him. I think they should have gone receiver there and could have gotten a tackle and used some of this draft capital to trade up in after. I like Denzel Mims. I think that's good value there. But again, I think that pick should have been used on a tackle. And actually, I love the Ashton Davis pick. I think it's really versatile. I like that pick as well. From there, it kind of falls off for me. I okay with the Michael P. Ryan. It's nothing. Crazy for me.
I like the fact that Michael P. Ryan is he was a true senior. Because I'm always a big fan of the seniors, the guys who have played a full fucking career of college football. Ashton Davis, I don't like him. I think that the guy just
Really?
I don't like him. Most of the film that I saw when I was watching him was him like everyone else making the tackle and him coming in the end and like jumping on the pile. And I'm just like, and I'm like, nah, like no. And then like the thing with Becton and Mims is like you could like if you switch them and change the names, it's a better draft. To me, like that's just that. It's that simple. If you go Jerry Jeudy and then Ezra Cleveland or whoever the fuck was available around then,
oh, exactly.
It's a tremendously better draft for the Jets.
Yeah, you could go Jerry Jeudy. You could go C.D. Lamb.
It's just. That's my thing. Is like the switching of those two completely changes it for me.
I agree. Yes, I like those two would be 10 times better. And that's why when those receivers were falling, I'm like, son of a gun. Now we're gonna have go against one of these receivers as far as the Bills. Going against them, I'm like, I don't want to do that. But then they go Mekhi Becton. I'm like, okay, yeah, we got to go against him, but he's gonna be a rookie. Okay, you don't know what you're gonna get from him. I like it. Like as far as a Bills fan, just trying to walk myself through it. I'm like, okay. But
I don't know how much time we're going to need to spend on this one. Philadelphia Eagles.
Jalen Hurts, I love it. I think I got great value with Jalen Hurts because I think he should have gone in the first round. I love him. I love him. I shouldn't say he should have gone in the first round. I think he should have gone in the first round for the simple fact that you get that extra fifth-year option, and I think he's a guy that you could really benefit from getting that fifth-year option.
Well, and I know Sturg was going to talk about how he thinks this is going to be the team that will start implementing the two quarterback system in the NFL. I just think Hurts that they're getting Hurts because they're going to say, Carson, you've been on the team long enough.
No.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't.
To me, Carson Wentz is a better version of Sam Bradford. Dude's always hurt and hasn't done anything with it.
I don't believe they're ready to give up on him.
I don't either. But this is the thing, how much is left in Carson's career? In his contract, because now it's one of those things where it's like he's been able to sit there and be the starter basically his entire career. Yeah, he had Nick Foles behind him, and yeah, Nick Foles came in and won him a Super Bowl. But for the majority of his career, though, it's just been him being the guy, really.
So now you get actual competition in behind him and push him, and you could actually say it's a legit competition now. I think Hurts has the goods, if you will. Yeah. Maybe he's a winner. Can't complain with that.
Other than that, I really don't give a shit about the draft. Other than they made a good trade getting Marquise Goodwin on day 3.
Yep.
Other than that,
they had to. I don't think Jalen Reagor was a good pick. I think he was. He's a good receiver. I think he would have been there in the second round. I don't like the pick. I'm jumping up there to grab it. But
Pittsburgh Steelers.
For what they had, I don't think.
I feel like they just had a very they didn't go flashy. They just got people that fit their scheme and what they like to do, and that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I know, I saw that. That's great, huh?
That's fucking hilarious. But that's it for them. Niners, I think they kind of killed it.
Killed it? They kind of had to. They only had two first rounders, then didn't pick again until day 3.
Yeah.
I like Ajuk, or however you pronounce, from Arizona State. Kinlaw is a great value. at 14, I think. But did you really need to? Just because I think Rob mentioned it in our group message, just because you got rid of a D lineman, in the trade, did you have to go and get another one? I'm going to say the answer is no. I don't think they should have gone that.
I agree.
I think personally they should have got one of those receivers. I think they should have got a Jerry Jeudy. I think they should have got a CeeDee Lamb with that 14th pick.
I mean, I'll agree with that there. I mean, it makes sense. No. I mean, but like, I can see what they're doing because they're doing like the opposite of what the Cowboys are doing. The Cowboys have been that team where like the majority of years, Cowboys draft in the first round. What position are they taking? Offensive line.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I mean, they've been doing it for how many years?
But like, and then if you go to the Niners though, 49ers, most of the time, what are they drafting in the first round these days? Defensive line. Like it's kind of one of those things where it's like it's almost a no-brainer sort of thing. So I think it's just that sort of thing. But I also think with the thing is this as well is that like at pick number 14, there's tackles that are available. So I don't know why my fucking thing just freaks out. There's offensive tackles that are available, and I also don't know if you know this one or not, but big man Joe Staley just retired.
Yes, I did. Yep, which is why they traded for what's his name because they probably got insider information on it.
So I mean, like that makes sense to me, but I mean, like I would have rather have had a young tackle than Trent Williams. I don't like Trent Williams, so I mean, Seattle Seahawks.
I thought this was kind of interesting going for defense side of the ball first here. I just think they need so much help on the offensive line. I mean, they love their not paying their offensive linemen. They love their young guys, and I think that Colby Parkinson from Stanford, good value there. And I mean, I love Stanford tight ends. They've had tight ends drafted, however long now. They just keep getting drafted and keep getting drafted, and that's just what they do.
I love the pick of Jordan. I love the pick of Jordan Brooks because I like Jordan Brooks. I think he's a good linebacker, and I love the pick of Darrell Taylor because as soon as they started showing the film, you immediately look at it, and that dude's a poor man's version of Jadeveon Clowney. Them getting him is literally saying "fuck you" to Clowney.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you've.
So I mean, I love it because literally they're just at that point now. They're like, yeah, we've had enough of your shit. Like,
oh, exactly. They're like, yeah, we've stayed on your coattails long enough. Let's move on and let's get someone else. Like, see you later, bud.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
They're horrible. They got an old busted Rob Gronkowski, an old and busted Tom Brady. I mean, it's just what are they gonna do now?
I love the pick of Tristan Wirfs. I love the pick of Antoine Winfield. I love the pick of Khalil Davis. I was
going to say, they really did have a great pick. I think Wirfs was one of their best. I mean, he was one of the best linemen. I don't know why he didn't go number one. Not overall, but number one, too.
Number tackle, yeah.
Yeah, they should have gone. That's who the Giants should have gotten. But that was great value there. Antonio Winfield, you know how much I love him.
Yep.
But I think they had a solid draft. I think the best way to do it was, put the lineman around Tom Brady to help him if they really want to be successful. And then, I mean, that defense, Antoine Winfield Jr. is just adding some depth to that defense that's already a really good defense.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I guess I think they had a really quiet a quietly good draft, if that makes any sense. And Xander, I'm not ignoring you. Yes, they have Gronk. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have Gronkowski now.
Was that a question he was asking?
I don't know. He just said Gronk, and then he said, ignore me. I'm an idiot.
Oh, that's funny.
Tennessee Titans.
The best pick the Tennessee Titans had, Cole McDonald.
Yes,
cannot go wrong with the Hawaii QBs.
No, I was about to, go. I love it. I love that pick. I love that pick, and I love the pick. You know what? I'll say this. I love Christian Fulton. I think that's a good pick. I like Christian Fulton. I thought he was a good corner.
I wanted him to fall to the Bills.
The App State running back, as you know, I'm within the past maybe 10 years, I've been a huge fan of Appalachian State within the past 10 years now. Love that pick because I follow him. And then, the Cole McDonald pick, I fucking love it because, it's a fucking Hawaii quarterback. How can you not love a Hawaii quarterback? Georgia O tackle, I think that was a reach and a half. That was them literally looking at the board and being like, God damn it, all of the other offensive tackles went. Now we have to do something. And then they just reached at that point.
Well, that's my thing is I don't know why they went him over Ezra.
I just think that that was my thinking is that I think that they didn't have him as high as Isaiah. I guess I don't know.
Is it Ezra also a left tackle?
Yes.
The thing is, you're drafting Isaiah Wilson
to play right.
To be the replacement for Conklin. You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
So you're drafting him to be that right tackle, which I think maybe if you think that's the best one, then that's your guy. I mean, that's the thing is you're not going after that prototypical left tackle you're getting there. So I don't have a problem with it. I think there were other positions they could have gone there.
True.
So
that makes sense. And Xander, thank you for the tier 1 sub, tier 1 gifted sub. I appreciate it. And the final team, Washington Redskins. I mean, honestly, I'm not even gonna look at the rest of their thing. How can you go wrong when you draft fucking Chase Young? I mean,
I was gonna say they did their job. That's what they got. They got Chase Young fell to him at number 2, and I say fell to him because he should have been the number 1 pick.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line. He should have been the number 1 pick, and I love the Liberty receiver too. He didn't really get much competition, but I think he's a great receiver, and I think he's going to be pretty successful in the NFL.
I love the Antonio Gibson Memphis pick because there was all I had read online this entire offseason was Greg Roman has been just looking at his film and just salivating because he can play every position on the field. Mm-hmm. So Greg Roman was just kind of I don't care what it takes, give me this guy because I'll find a way to use him.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, so best pick, worst pick. Everyone that's been keeping up with the podcasts anyway will know we all hate Joe Burrow, so obviously that's the worst pick. Outside of Joe Burrow, though, it's got to be a tie for me. It's a tie between Atlanta and Oakland. I'm going to keep saying Oakland. I don't care. AJ Terrell is 16. I don't like it. There's so many better corners on the board than AJ Terrell is 16. And then the Oakland one is just both of their firsts. There's no reason to go Ruggs over the other two, and there's no reason to get Arnett over, Bognahay and I can't think of the other one now. Fulton.
Oh yeah.
That's my 2 worsts anyway.
I think I don't really have 2. I only have the 1, and I'm gonna go with Anthony Thomas. I'm gonna go with Andrew Thomas, but I'm also gonna go with Terrell for Atlanta too. I just like you said, I think there's way more value they could have had somewhere else. But you could say the same thing with Andrew Thomas from Georgia. I don't think that was the best. Best prospect they had out there. I really think they could have gone elsewhere and been a lot better off. So that's what I'm saying, and I think, like I said, Wirfs I think was better. Wills, I would have taken over him. It just
so best pick of the entire draft. I'm going to go with a few here. I think Dobbins going to Baltimore in the second was kind of I don't think a whole lot of people other than people who know what Baltimore does and kind of gets it. I think that's just a great pick in the second. I think Wirfs falling to Tampa is a great pick. And other than that, I mean, the only other one I'm going to say is Kenny Robinson going to Carolina simply because, this is a safety that played in the XFL. So you have footage of him versus actual NFL players. He's ran an NFL defense, and you got him at pick 152.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
That's
my main best ones that I can think of. Obviously, I'm a homer and I fucking go for a Baltimore one, but
I think one of my top ones is I'm going to be a homer to AJ Espinoza falling to the Bills. Is huge for me. That's I think one of the best value picks they got there. You get a, like I said, top 20 guy, and he's falling that far for you. You take him. You don't even think about it. It's one of those. Okay, here he goes. Another one that I think was great, and I'm gonna kind of piggyback off your Ravens one, but on a different side of things is Patrick Queen falling to 28. I think was great value for you guys in a position that is awesome. I mean, it fits your guys' defense. He's a you know cannot complain there. The Panthers, I think, got some really good value with Gross Matos falling to the second round in general. From where he was moving upwards, but I only say that because I think that's kind of where he was normally going to be. But then he started shooting up, a lot of people's draft boards, and kind of tailed out, and that's where he settled. And I think that's where his good, but it's good value based off of where it was. But my big one, I'm gonna go with Trevon Diggs to the Cowboys because I really think he was one of the top corners. I think after Okada, Henderson, I think I had him labeled as my number 3 corner, and there was corners going off the board left and right in front of him.
Yep.
So I think that's mine. And then the worst pick is Joe Burrows. Not because he's going there, but because I don't think he is the answer. But I just that's my worst.
So now sleeper and reach. Surprisingly, my sleeper and reach are both on the same team. So it makes it really easy for me. Reach was getting Isaiah Wilson. I understand that he's a big-bodied guy and he's a run blocker, and that's what you're going to put him in there at right tackle to do. But I think it's a reach at number 29. And then my sleeper of the thing is Cole McDonald, and I'm going to say it right now. I wouldn't be surprised if homeboy takes over for Tannehill because Tannehill gets hurt or fucks up at some point, and McDonald comes in and he's mobile. He throws the ball. You know what I mean? It's like he's a mobile guy and he's in a throwing offense. Like it's almost like the Cole Brennan thing. Name a defensive coverage he hasn't seen. He's seen that.
Yeah, you're right.
And the fact that he's mobile in today's NFL with Trent Richardson and the rest of the team that they have. So that's my sleeper and reach, both on the same team. Makes it nice and easy.
Nice. I don't really have a sleeper, honestly. I don't, but I'm gonna go back to the same thing. I think Andrew Thomas is my reach by far. Like it's not even close to me, and I'm gonna keep going back to it. I do like the Dayton tight end as my sleeper going.
Ooh, there we go. Yeah, that's actually really good.
Going out, I think he's my sleeper 3rd round. I think is great value. And also, I think another sleeper is Jacob Eason. I do like him. I think going to the 4th round, and I think maybe he does sit behind Jacoby for a year. But I think Frank Reich's going to get him up to par, and they'll obviously go from there. But I think it's good value there.
All right. Well, that is the end of episode 12 here of the effing title. I want to say thank you to everybody that stopped by and hung out. Even to the few dingleberries that decided to just say cute beard. Apparently that's a new thing now. I think I don't get it. If you guys get it, right.
Dude, they're complimenting your beard. That's awesome.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's that's why I'm saying, I don't get it. So I mean, it's if you guys understand what the fuck that means, why that's apparently a insult or any sort of shit like that, let me know in the comment there. Jeff, do you have anything to say before?
No, I appreciate you guys stopping by today, and not only today, but the last 3 weeks we've been doing this, and I appreciate people chiming in and commenting. Not always, we don't always agree with you guys, but it's good to have you guys come back and chat with us.
So, now that draft season is over, we will be going back to kind of a little bit more of a random schedule thing when it comes to topics. So it won't be all football all the time. We will still do football every now and then. I'll still get the guys on and we'll still talk about different shit. Next week's one, I'm not going to say who it is. I already talked to them. They're thinking about topics right now, but it will be a silly stream, if any, a silly podcast, if anything. And I'm excited. It should be a lot of fun. So from all of us here at the Husky Compound, as I think I've called it a few different times now, just by accident, and I kind of like it now. So, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the new follows. We are on the way to 500. We're getting there. We will get there eventually. So depending on where you are when you listen, watch this, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Stay out of trouble. And I will talk to you all later. Bye.